I want to just,
pop your... On today's episode of the Fool Podcast, we talk about shadow work, projection, and what it means to be in fulfillment. We talk about my dream man, the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and just what it means to love yourself. Thanks for following the journey of the Fool. Okay, well, hi guys. Welcome back to the Fool Podcast.
Hi.
This is our second episode. We're just like going with the flow. We're figuring it out as we go, and I'm loving it. It's fun. Okay, so considering that I've been kind of a bitch today, I think reasonably so. I'm in my luteal phase, which we talked about last time.
Reasonably so.
But also reasonably so, like, you know, sometimes, yeah, like, I'm like, do I have to work? But anyway, considering the circumstances of today and my mood, I got the 10 of Cups.
Tell me about her.
So the 10 of Cups, okay, first of all, this card is so pretty. Every deck has like different artwork.
That's hard.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a man and woman, but like we could pretend.
Who is that?
But they're like in water, which water is very cleansing. Water is very much like going with the flow. And there's the sun behind them, which is a contrast between like water and sun, right? It's like water and fire is a contrast. And then there's all these like pretty seashells and eye in the sun. Like it's just really pretty artwork. But the 10 of Cups is all about fulfillment. So this card represents all your dreams came true. Like you wanted to be a Barbie and marry Ken and have the perfect job. And it's just like about a fulfilling family life. It's about fulfillment. Yeah. Maybe I'll get my man. Maybe this is like...
I think that's for me.
My man manifestation. Is your man?
No, I've been grappling with the thought of having kids this week.
Oh,
that's the craziest thing you've ever done. And actually, and I'm being so dead ass about this, last night Stevie Nicks came to me in a dream.
Wait, what? And we need to do a whole dream analysis.
No, we actually do.
Okay.
So I've been thinking about this for I've been thinking about this.
Okay.
But she came to me in a dream. This is so dumb. And she said that she regretted not having kids. I don't know if Stevie Nicks has kids.
Right, and I just got chills.
Me too. When you pulled that, and that is crazy.
You have to have kids.
I've literally been making
That's your subconscious telling you.
It's gotta be.
You're also ovulating, I assume, because if last week you were in your luteal, did you already start your cycle and then now you're like you're pretty much in ovulation, so you're like baby making mode. No, literally. Like that's what's happening.
Wait, but that's crazy that you just did that though, because I was literally making a list of pros and cons, so dead ass, and I could show you this, of having kids on my drive here. Not that I was texting and driving. I would never do that.
We would never do that.
But if I was making a list of pros and cons of having kids.
Right.
How insane is that?
That is insane. And the 10 of Cups in the original tarot deck has kids in the yard. And the girl, like the husband and wife are like holding hands and there's a rainbow above them and there's kids around them. Like that is I swear that's the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is family life fulfillment. That is like, this happens. Like when I was 27, I wasn't like hell-bent on having kids.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it takes time. I think it takes time for you to just like figure out, I don't know, like what it is that you want. And then I don't know. I think I understand that there are a lot of people out there who don't want kids.
That was literally,
I know.
Up until, this, I've been under the assumption that like I probably won't be having kids. And if I do have kids, it's in like 5 years.
But you want kids like tomorrow. Like we're making a baby.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Tomorrow.
I thought we were making a baby right now. I'm sorry.
No, but that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's 10 of Cups is fulfillment. It's like, it's really that happy ending. It's the happy ending.
Totally.
What's the happy ending? Like, what's your happy ending?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, I've realized I have not like visualized my future at all. And I feel like this is maybe a more common thing that I I'm telling myself this is more common than just me.
Right.
But I think a lot of people have a hard time like looking into their future and like actually visualizing like what the future is supposed to look like for them.
Right.
Like, I don't think everybody has this like clear picture of what everything is supposed to look like. Like, I'm 27, I'm just barely getting introduced to the concept of a 5-year plan.
Yeah, but I think it changes as time goes on. Like, what I wanted at 27 is different than what I want now at 35. Like, that's almost 10 years ago. And I mean, some of the things are still pretty similar. Like, I have always wanted to get married to some capacity, have a partner. And then I do think that I wanted kids, but now it's like, I want kids. You know what I mean? Whereas before it was kind of like, well, maybe it would be okay if I didn't have them. Now, if I think about not having kids, I'll cry, like literally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I think that like also some certain things that I wanted in my career when I was 27, I don't really want anymore. Like now I love working in corporate to a certain extent. It gives me a ton of experience and network, but I really like am an entrepreneur. That's just who I am. And so you start to understand yourself more, especially like, I know it sounds so cliche and everyone says that and they're like, you know yourself, you just know yourself. You see like the TikToks about like, you do. I remember just like, I feel like I was so insecure, even probably up to like 30, God, even like 32. I remember acting in insecure ways, like in relationships and things. And now I'm like, if it comes, let it. If it goes, let it. Literally, I'm not worried about it. And I think that just comes with age and experience and also just like practices. And so I think while it's good for you to have a 5-year plan, you don't have to stress too much about it because things can always change. Like the things that you want can change over time. And those core things, like maybe having kids, should stay the same for the most part.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, this card says it right here.
Get out of my head. Don't be a freak.
Let's see what card is below it. Oh.
Are we starting my reading? Chelsea's reading my cards tonight, by the
I
way.
am reading her cards tonight. There's definitely like a series of events that I think is going to take place. Whoa. Okay. That's going to take place in your life for you to kind of gain a better understanding of what it is that you want.
9 of Cups.
Yeah, it's the completion.
That's
9
crazy.
and 10s. I think the 10 is a completion. It's
Yeah.
a completion of a cycle. It's a completion of just like, especially with cups, it just means you've made it. Fulfillment. It's fulfillment. New era.
Wait, what would your like ultimate fulfillment look like?
Oh, she's beautiful. I mean, it changes. Like right now this year, I have some pretty big goals for myself. Like, you know, for the summer, I really want to focus on traveling and adventure. That's a really big goal of mine, is just to adventure and have fun. And then my health and my fitness is like a really big goal right now. So training for High Rocks, I really want to be successful in my High Rocks competition in September. And then I have a retreat in October.
Did everyone put that on their calendars? September, Chelsea's High Rocks competition.
My High Rocks in September. We're going to Peru in October. Put that on your calendar. Register for that retreat. And so I think just like it feels very much like a me time right now. However, I really, really want partnership. I want to get married and I want to be a mom. And I want to take my business full time as that relationship progresses. So I would love to just focus on being a mom and then having my podcast and my coaching business and reading cards for people and potentially doing retreats and events on the side. But primarily, it's so funny because this is what I mean by things change over time, is when I don't think that I ever really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, because I kind of was always like, oh no, like I'd want to just work and
Yeah, you're a hustler. Like that's what you do.
I am a hustler, but I think I would still hustle. It would just be in different ways. Like it would just be, I would prefer to hustle more in a way of like building what I feel like is my empire as opposed to working in corporate for somebody else. And I do feel very grateful for my corporate job, and I do feel fulfilled in corporate to a certain extent, but I do feel that I found my purpose and that I would love to just continue to put my energy into my business. Like that's important to me. And to put it into my family. Like if my husband's an entrepreneur or maybe he works for corporate, you know, whatever he decides to do, I would love to make his life easier so that he can focus more on work, because I love managing a house and I love taking care of kids. Like my yard guy came the other day and he brought his kids and I asked him to come early. And so I was like, well, do they want to come inside? And he was like, oh, that's, and I'm like, they can come inside. And they did. And it's like, I'm cutting up strawberries and I'm like turning on a movie, and I just really like that. I love managing a household and just taking care of my plants and my cats. And so to me, that's incredibly fulfilling, almost more fulfilling than what I now get from corporate. And so to me, and then also just having a garden and, you know, maybe living close to friends where we can grow our own food and we can take turns like watching kids or hanging out and things like that, like living in community, I think would be an ultimate level of fulfillment. And I think to top it off, my dream job would be to be a public speaker. I'd love to be a motivational speaker or a speaker who can just help people kind of tap into themselves, which is why we're doing the podcast, right? It's pretty much aligned with that. And so, that was a mouthful. I know. My vision
She knows.
is clear. And I think it's helpful because as time goes on and people come into my life, it's important for me to say, okay, I know my vision. I know what I want. Does this potential relationship or connection or friendship align with that vision? Is this a friendship that we can have open and honest conversations? Is this a relationship where I feel fulfilled, where we can pour into each other, where there's openness, connection, and communication? Or is this maybe more a superficial, high-level relationship and it may not be aligned with my ultimate goals and what I want to do? And I think that when I was younger, I used to kind of sacrifice my vision for liking somebody. And I'm realizing now that it takes more than just having chemistry and liking somebody. It's actually like a commitment that needs to be in alignment.
Totally. At what point do you feel like that vision like got clear to you? I know that like it's shifted as you've like grown, but like at what point do you feel like you had your first like grasp on like a very clear what you wanted your future to be?
I think I've probably known for a couple years, but it just gets more clear as time goes on. I would say at least 2 years. Yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
And I feel like I wasn't always living in alignment with it either. It was like, I'd be like, oh, well, you know, and it's like, I'm just starting to get way more non-apologetic and just like, this is what I want.
How do you feel like spirituality and like intuition and all of that has like played into it all for you? Like at what point did you get introduced to tarot? Do you feel like that's like given you direction, like meditation, all of this stuff?
It's interesting because I just had a conversation actually with somebody about this, and we were talking about how I can read cards and I can channel. And where I think it came from is I think it came from going to Peru and sitting with ayahuasca. And I went on a little bit of a sabbatical to Phoenix. And what had happened is I can't remember which one came first, but someone that I knew wanted to come to Utah to ski. And they were going to have an open house that was just completely empty in Arizona. So I came up with this idea, well, if you go to Utah to ski, can I stay in your place for 3 months? So this happened simultaneously at the same time that I decided to go to Peru and sit with ayahuasca. And I knew that ayahuasca was very life-changing, but I didn't know how much. Like I thought my life would relatively be pretty similar when I got back. And that was not the case. I came back. I had about a week to pack up like the things that I wanted to take with me to Arizona, my cats, my clothes, and we drove there. And as soon as I got there, it was like this dark cloud came over me and I was like, oh, this isn't going to be fun. I thought I was coming out here to have fun for a few months. This is actually not going to be fun. I felt it instantly. And what happened was maybe a week in, I got laid off from my corporate job that I was pretty financially dependent on because I had just fixed up this house and put a lot of money into it.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you. And so I was like, fuck, like, this is awful. I'm in Arizona. I'm away from home. I'm away from any sense of like comfort or familiarity. I don't really know a lot of people out here. I'm terrified, should I just go home? And I didn't. I stuck it out and I stayed there. And I met some people and I'd go on some hikes, but for the most part, I isolated a lot. It was like the journey of, not saying I'm a shaman, but like the shamanic journey of like when they have to go isolate in the, mountains for years or months. And I was just alone, and I started like cooking for myself, and I was in a really low place, and I started praying every morning and every night. And I think that what happened during that time period is that because I was reborn essentially through ayahuasca, completely removed from any of my normal friends, habits, community. I was in complete isolation, and all I was doing is journaling, crying, and praying, that I created a really, really, really strong connection with God. And I opened myself up to be a channel. And there was even days where like I wasn't even listening to music. Like I was so low.
Which is a lot, because music is big for
Music
you.
is everything. Oh yeah, I'm like at work all day. I'm like headphones. And so, I think that really cutting off the connection with the outside world and isolating and being in prayer really gave me this connection with God that created a lot of clarity in my life. And it created the opportunity for me to be an open channel for spirit to work through me, because I don't believe that I read cards because I, Chelsea, am like have this like crazy magical gift. It's not, the only thing I did to exercise this muscle, I think, is isolation and open myself up to trust and surrender. And then from there, that's when I started realizing like I have a gift and I really want to utilize it. And I want to utilize it to help people who've been through the things that I've been through. Because why else go through things if you can't turn around and alchemize it and help other people, right? And so that, I think, was a period in life where I got the most clarity. That's when I realized I could be a stay-at-home mom. I really do want to get married, and I know what type of man I want. And it's important for me to be with a man who also has a similar relationship with God, because while I'm not religious, I know that God is real, and God is the only reason why I was able to make it through that period of time.
Okay, Chelsea's dream boy, go.
Oh my gosh. This is funny. I'm not going to go like all the way into it, because there could be like so many ways that I could go with this. But one thing that I have completely settled on is that I can just be like completely irrational and break down crying and turn into a complete baby, and he'll just be like, if you're listening to this, I rubbed my arm. Just like a rock. Somebody who, because my emotions can vary, and I think there's days where I can be really happy and excited, and I think sometimes people attach that to me, like they want me, like they kind of expect that from me. But then there's days where I can be like kind of down and moody and just annoyed, and typically it's before my period, and I just want someone who can withstand the storm, to where I can be in my feminine energy and fully just like chaotic, and they are totally chill with that. And they're just like, you know what, like that's fine. Because I'm never one in a relationship to be like, you're an asshole, and I'm always like, oh, this made me feel this way, or I feel this way because of this. And like to just honor my needs and my feelings and just be like, I understand, and I think that that's just like really important to me. And I think just having some similar, obviously, visions and goals is incredibly important too. But just a man who I feel like can communicate and who can just be a really steady rock in my life.
Totally. Which you would feel like is not that big of an ask.
God.
It is. Not for anything that you're doing, but
is.
just I feel like more and more I feel like we're losing the sense of that, like, we owe something to each other. You know what I mean?
Well, I also think people take shit so personally.
Me.
Like,
I take everything so personally. No, I'm serious.
When
And
you-
I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to learn. But,
okay,
like,
so when you receive feedback in your relationship,
yeah.
do you receive feedback in your relationship?
Yes.
And when you receive feedback in your relationship,
First of all, are you talking to each other?
yeah, are you talking to each other? You take it personally if he says like,
There's like a step. There's like, it's almost okay, and I hate to speak like this,
No,
but it's like
I
an
mean-
automation in my
Yeah,
brain.
yeah. This
I have
is
to
very
like
common.
receive input. My first reaction is like, oh, so he hates me, and then I have to like flip a switch, and sometimes there's a lag in like the switch that I can flip, or at least just like say to myself, like, the problem is the enemy, not you.
Yeah.
You know, and then move forward. But it is like an additional step that I have to take every time.
I think though that this awareness and what you're talking about right now though is so important because I think everyone gets triggered. I'll literally be talking to someone and I'll like them and then I call them and they don't answer and all of a sudden that trigger, switch is like, oh, they hate me and they're never going to call me back. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Why is that my first thought?
Why would they not call me
No, it's
back?
so true.
And sometimes like, and then if they don't call me back for like an hour, I'm like, oh, well, it's over.
No, it's over. They're breaking up
It's
with me
over.
right now.
I'm
They're
done.
talking shit about me to their friends right now. He couldn't pick up his phone
He
because
couldn't pick up his phone because
cheating on
he's
me.
literally cheating on me and we're not even together.
So true. It's so true.
And I think it's so common because those are our projections.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that the work is seeing the projections and then seeing what is actually happening. Like what's actually happening is that what I'm taking experiences from my life. This is ego driven. I'm taking experiences from my life or thoughts and beliefs that I've carried as a child and I'm projecting it into this relationship. So it's very likely that when you were a child, I don't know what feedback was like, or maybe like there was expectation to be perfect or whatever it was. So I dated someone like this actually where like he could not take feedback at all, but I think it was because he just like felt like he needed to be perfect his entire life. And so then feedback was just like almost like an insult to his character. It was like I would say, "Oh, you're like I'm feeling sad because I haven't heard from you." And he's like, "I'm a terrible person." I'm like,
Real.
what? Like, no, you're not.
I used to be like that.
Amazing, and that's why I'm in a relationship with you. But I'm telling you that I need something, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I really think it's rooted in perfectionism, and perfectionism just stems from the ego wanting to keep you safe. So at some point in your life, you probably you had experiences that made you feel like you needed to be perfect in order to be loved. And this doesn't mean your parents did like anything wrong. We all have these things, and it can also be generational. Like it's they had it, then they pass it on to you. And you know, the more conscious and aware you are of these things, the more you can just have the capacity to sit with it and to just be like, okay, so I'm feeling rejected and abandoned right now. This is the worst feeling I could ever feel. I'm going to die.
Yes.
But instead of dying or crashing out or like calling them 50 times, you learn to just sit with it.
Yeah.
So in your case, if he's giving you feedback, that discomfort of like, I'm an awful person is coming up, or I failed, whatever it is. And then you sit with the emotion of feeling like you failed until it alchemizes, and know that you didn't fail. Just know that it's an emotion rising that needs to be released.
Totally. And I'm getting better at it, but I really pity anybody that I've dated before like this point in my life.
But none of us are perfect. That's the thing, is like,
It's tough.
it's tough, but that's the one thing with this last relationship that I was in a year or so ago. I do feel like I was able to kind of see things from a lens of like, oh, this is just his stuff and this doesn't have anything to do with me. And I think it's just you know, everyone has shit, and it's just two people coming together and willing to work through their shit together. Like, that's essentially what a relationship is.
Totally.
And I think what happens is you get together, people wear masks, you get all excited, you think it's one thing, and then truth starts coming out. And that's usually what breaks up relationships. Like, maybe you masked that side of yourself for a few months and then it would come out. And really, it's just up to that other person to say, I see what's happening. I see that you're triggered, and I'm going to stand by you even though you're triggered. Right? Because that's like what we do if we want to maintain relationships.
Yeah.
With so many, I think, of our parents and their parents were potentially in, you know, kind of trauma bonds where they would repeat these cycles and patterns, and then they were kind of forced to stay together because of economic reasons or whatever it may be. And I think that we're in a time now where we have a lot more autonomy and women have a lot more independence, and we get to choose, do we want to be with someone or not? And that's when the work really comes in, because if you choose to be with someone, then you're really choosing them every single day, despite their triggers, their flaws, and their insecurities.
Totally. It's like The Little Woman. Have you seen Little Women?
No, is that a movie or what is it?
What?
I don't know. Wait, that's a movie, right?
Little Women?
Yeah.
That's like
I'm ashamed.
Wait, it's been a book for like ever. Like my mom read it when she was a kid. Like it's been a book forever is
Okay.
a weird way to say that.
Okay,
But then
okay.
recently, and I'm spacing the director's name right now. She's like the epic director that everybody loves. She did Barbie. What's her name?
I don't know. Unfortunately.
Greta Gerwig.
Okay,
She directed Little Women, and Joe. Okay, well, there's this whole like dynamic where like Lori is this one character, and I don't want to spoil it for you because I actually think you'll fall in love with the story.
Okay, but like tell me, because I'll still fall in love with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So Lori's this guy and he's in love with Joe forever. And then one day Joe's like, I don't want to be with you. Like, I don't want to marry anybody, blah, blah, blah. But the little sister, Amy, she's been in love with Lori forever. And one day, Lori, after Joe says no to Lori, he marries Amy. And it's like, I know. And that's like a huge spoiler. So if you haven't seen Little Women, but there's so much more that happens in that story. You're going to be totally fine.
Something.
It'll still be riveting, I promise. And Joe's monologue.
Is Joe a good guy or a bad guy?
Joe's a girl. She's the best. It's Saoirse Ronan is the one in the Greta Gerwig version.
Okay, I need to like.
It's like four sisters. Come on. And who's the one that was in Jurassic World? The actress. I don't know why I'm asking you this. I should know this.
I know pop culture, unfortunately, is not my thing.
I can't remember. They call their mom Marmee. I can't remember. It's the sweetest thing. It's like kind of a Christmas movie. I saw it in theaters with my mother and we both bawled our eyes out.
Cute. Okay.
But I can't remember what the actress is that plays the mom. So
Okay.
I'm gonna remember it at some point. Anyway, this concept of like we can choose who we marry now, and it's not like an economic decision,
Yeah.
and it's not like I don't need some, or like when my husband dies, I have to marry my sister's husband. Like it's not that.
Or my
anymore.
husband's best friend, so he can take care of me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. I think like now it does count when like the actual character of men, crazy enough, like, can you be a rock when I'm losing my mind? Can you, whatever.
Yeah.
Can you make me laugh? Can I make you laugh? Like, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's now so much more about like a love match.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, it is. It's so much more about a love match than it is about just getting with someone because there's chemistry. And then next thing you know, you're like, outgrew them. It's like we're
Totally.
actually choosing to be together based off of like common interests and values and attraction and healthy things that matter, right?
I've actually been thinking about this a lot of like young couples have the advantage of like they get to grow together, and older couples or like people that find each other later in life while they're already established in their own routines like have kind of a little bit more friction in trying to like merge their lives together. But there's also so many like positives that come out of like a later in life love match. And I guess I've just been thinking on that of like you find each other when you find each other, and there's huge advantages of being able to go together, but like God forbid you don't go in the same direction,
Right.
Then what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what I've realized is I think I've experienced a little bit of frustration of like, okay, I'm 35, I'm gonna be 36 in a couple months. Like, why haven't I found my person yet? I've dated some guys, and it's just like not a match. And I'm like, what? I don't want another lesson, right? But I've tried to kind of shift my perspective a little bit and be like, I think it's just like about life is a journey and you learn along the way. And it's not like I approach friendships like, oh, I don't want another lesson, right? It's like, it's just like with relationships, you know? And it's like, if you can try to approach life with detachment and allow life to, I think, while having a vision, but then also allowing life to kind of give you the knowledge that you need in order, because I believe that we're constantly in a state of manifestation. And so what I mean by that is that we're constantly asking for things, and life is always giving us the things to get us what we're asking for. But sometimes what we're asking for, we might have to experience something in order to grow into the person who's ready to receive what we're asking for. And so sometimes that happens in romantic relationships. Or you think that you want something because you're manifesting out of an ego desire, and then you realize, ooh, actually didn't really want that. I actually want this. And then you gain more clarity to get closer to what it is that you really want. And so I try to just look at life as more of a journey, because it will always give us the things that we want.
Yeah. Okay. In the last episode, we were going to talk about projections, and or like projecting. And I think that this like ties in so well, because
it does.
When you're seeking for a partner from a place of insecurity or from a place of scarcity, you end up with, I don't know what all the proper terminology would be for it, but like maybe not the person that you would end up with should you be seeking for somebody from like your highest self.
So, okay, there's so much that comes to me right now. One thing that I really thought about is that it's really important for people to know who they are and to work through insecurities, because sometimes what will happen is someone will come along and they'll praise you where you feel insecure. And then you'll latch on to those people. And typically those are like narcissistic people, that you latch on to them because they're praising the parts of you that you don't like about yourself. And then if they then pull away, you've completely feel lost, because they were just praising the parts of yourself that like you didn't feel good about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And so that's why I think shadow work is really important, because I think it's important for us to love the parts of ourselves, to work on our self-worth, our self-value, and to love the parts of ourselves that maybe we deem a little bit unworthy, so that someone can't come in and use our insecurities to control us, whether consciously or subconsciously. Because what will happen is if you have an insecurity of not feeling good enough, and someone comes in and then they make you feel good enough, and then they all of a sudden they remove themselves, that void of not feeling good enough is gonna come back. Yeah. But if you work, or they can actually, if they want something from you, manipulate the fact that you don't feel good enough to try to get things out of you, consciously or unconsciously. So that's why it's really important for you to work on your own insecurities and your own shadows, so that people can't pull on your triggers, whether consciously or unconsciously. Because I don't think everyone is always like doing things maliciously. I think sometimes life is just a dance and an act, and people just come into our lives and we're just in this dance of insecurity, right? And so that's why it's really important to know yourself and to love yourself, especially the shadow parts of yourself, because those are the ones that can be so easily controlled. If you're someone who has a very deep fear of rejection and abandonment, and your partner knows that, they may threaten to leave you every time to try to get something out of you. Oh, well, if you're not going to do this for me, then we should just break up. And they know that that's really triggering. And then you're going to be like, oh my God, no. What do you want? I don't want to just break up, because they're afraid of being abandoned. So that abandonment, that fear of abandonment, that's the part that you need to work on and bring to the forefront in love, so that other people can't use that to manipulate you. How this ties into projection is that what we were talking about from the beginning, you look like you have like an aha moment on your face right now. I'm sorry, I have to pause because I'm like,
read my eyes.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on?
It's just so true. I'm like literally rethinking every single interaction I've ever had with anyone ever
in my entire life.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I do think so many people operate from like trying to heal this wound, or like put a band-aid over their wound and cover up this wound of rejection. I feel like that's so many people's like big wound.
And they try to cover up the wound by feeling chosen by someone.
Yeah.
And someone could just come in and choose them and they don't even like that person.
Yes.
But because they're choosing them, they decide to go down that path because they feel chosen. That is how these types of relationships and trauma bonds form, is by your voids and your insecurities that you refuse to face, that then other people are feeling, and then they can tug and pull on these insecurities. So you feel chosen, and I've done this. I remember there's been a couple guys that I was like, I don't really like them that much, but I'll date them, whatever, because they were like choosing me.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm like, I don't even like this person.
Yeah.
Like, I just liked that they liked me. And that is a whole shit storm, because then you have to unravel.
And they can get away with so much shit to you. Like, they can treat you so poorly, but as long as they're still there the next day, as long as they still answer your phone call, it feels nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But you need to learn, if you're in this particular case with like something like abandonment, the work is learning to sit with yourself and to actually give yourself what you're hoping to get from somebody else, so that other people can't come in and give it or take it away. Because if they threaten to take it away, or they do take it away, you'll find yourself chasing someone that you may not even necessarily want to be with. You're just chasing them because of insecurity.
Yes. And I find that those people are the ones that like take. And I found myself at this point in my life, and my mom is a genius, and it would kill me to tell that to her face, but she knows everything. And she was like, Brighton, like, you have all of these people in your life that just take, and you are not, like, these friends aren't friends to you. They just know that you're going to answer their phone call every time they call you. And like, it took me decades to be able to like recognize that for myself.
And that, it's funny because you said you went through like a great purge, but that's growth.
Yeah.
You start realizing that maybe you're in dynamics based out of insecurities, and then you start working on yourself and you change those insecurities, and those people aren't in your life anymore. Like, that's partially relationships that I've had, romantic relationships, where I was doing work, and that person, it was just like I was outgrowing the version of myself that got with that person in the first place, because I got with that person in the first place out of a state of insecurity. Totally. So when you work on those things and you grow, it's very common and likely that a lot of people are going to fall out of your life. And then you think, what am I doing something wrong? I'm feeling even more abandoned. I'm even more triggered. But it's almost like, it's actually kind of fucked up, because it's like exactly what's needing to happen is happening to get you to where you need to be, which is working on your self-love and growing and getting with people who are more authentically aligned with you and not aligned with these ego.
Totally. I think also being friends with an insecure person is so hard.
It's taxing.
And I was that. Like, I know how exhausting it is to always have to go around and be like, no, you actually look fine in that outfit. No, like, you didn't say anything stupid at that party. Like, no, you acted fine, whatever. And I was always seeking that. And like, that was my only price of like being a friend. Like, I just wanted you to tell me that I wasn't stupid, which, come on, how low of a bar is that?
Yeah, but I get it. But I think that you would be so surprised that so many of us find ourselves in those types of situations. Totally. And it is a really low bar, and I think that that's why it's really important for women to work on their selves. And I think self-love and self-respect and valuing ourselves and really knowing the price of like who we are is so incredibly valuable, because then you start surrounding yourself with people who also see your price. But yeah, it's true. Unfortunately, whether people mean to or not, take advantage of people like that are insecure, or who may potentially like let you walk all over them just to have a relationship with them. And I think that is why it's just really important to have self-worth and to work on that, so that you're not attracting vampires.
Totally. And yeah, I totally, and I feel like growing up, I'm seeing a lot of these people like come back into my life, and I know that like we're all in different situations now. Yeah, like your 20s actually just kind of suck a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
You'll find yourself and you'll find each other again should you need to.
Well, that's the thing, is like I've definitely outgrown a lot of relationships, but some of them have come back around and we've met each other in new places. And I think that some relationships, like where maybe when I was a lot younger I was more of a pushover and I'm not now, they might try, but then they're like, oh, but they may not even try because they may not even be in that state anymore. And so you just meet each other where you are now, and then you see if it aligns. That's why I have a little bit of a hard time with people who are like, well, I'm friends with her because we've been friends since we were 12. And it's like, okay, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's great. But like, if the friendship, like, would you meet them now and still be friends with them?
Yeah.
And if not, then it may not make sense to be friends with that person if it's not fulfilling to you. If they're maybe treating you in a way in which you don't want to be treated, or then you don't really have to be friends with someone just because there's been time there. Yeah. You don't have to unfriend anyone, but you may want to evaluate the people you have around in your life and say, do they match the person that I'm becoming or the person that I really want to be? And if they do, keep more of those people around. And if they don't, maybe keep a little bit of distance from those people.
Totally. Like, read my ass. Okay, so shadow work.
Yes.
How do we heal these parts of ourselves? Heal has always been a really tricky word for me.
It is a tricky word because it implies that we're broken when we're not broken. We're just complex creatures who are ever evolving and essentially coming back to ourselves.
Totally.
I think healing yourself is just remembering who you are and coming back to it. That's why inner child work is so prominent in healing, is because it's really just working with your inner child so you can come back to who you were when you were a kid. Because all of these conditioning and all of these things that have come into your life have taken you away from who you truly are. And it brings you back to who you truly are. A baby is born just them. A toddler just is them, right?
Yeah.
But it's the conditioning of the ego. So to explain shadow work, it's very much like we're born, and then things start happening in our life. Like, for example, you touch a stove, it's hot, you're not going to touch a stove again. You put a fork in the outlet, you electrocute yourself, you're not going to do that again. You start learning danger. And the ego's main point in life is to keep you safe. So what happens is if you start learning, you can't say no, you need to say yes. Let's say that your mom was like, saying no is mean, be a lady, whatever, I don't know, right? And so then you learn yes, overgive. That creates a tendency to then create a shadow of being selfish, a bitch, or mean. So then when if you're overly nice, opposites attract, you bring someone into your life that is an asshole. And then when they are being an asshole, you're saying, well, this person's just being an asshole. So what happens is because opposites attract, you then bring someone...
Wait, do you believe that?
Opposites attract?
Yeah.
100%.
I know I said we can just wrap this up, but I'm like, I don't know.
I think it's like a physics thing, but you see it. Like if someone is overly nice, they attract a narcissistic asshole. Opposites really, really do attract. But what happens is when you attract this like asshole, they provide a trigger for you and you just think, oh no, they're so mean and they're just being mean to me. But the invitation is for you to start integrating the part of you that's being reflected back through them, that is the one that says no and has boundaries. So that's a healthy integration. That's why girls say they're in their villain era, because they've been nice their whole entire lives. They've been taking advantage of people. What happens is you start integrating the shadow of selfishness and of being mean. And then that's how you start to alchemize and to get more balanced relationships, because you start learning how to say no. And you are projecting that people are mean because you have never been able to say no or set a boundary in your life because you were taught as a kid that you're not able to do that.
So the villain era is necessary.
It's necessary, especially in the alchemical journey. The alchemical journey.
Write that down. Write that down. Like, yeah.
But I mean, shadow work is such a big part of my practice in my life. And so I'm sure we'll come back to like more scenarios about this.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important, like when you're being triggered, instead of just blaming someone and saying they're an asshole, you've got to look back at yourself and you've got to say, what are the qualities within myself that I've been hiding that this person is mirroring to me that are just asking to be seen? And this is boundaries. I know.
Damn.
That's it.
That's it.
This is the Fool. the alchemical journey, the alchemical process of the soul.
Yeah.
Right here, right now. Tune in next week.